It takes a village to come together in order to make a movie. But building out your team and scheduling your crew is one of the most difficult parts of the entire pre-production process. In the best case scenario, you may already have a lot of connections and can enlist the help of friends to come out and be part of your crew for your movie. However, in the worst case scenario, you may need to go on Facebook and put out a crew call in order to help build your dream team. No matter where you're at or who you are, I hope this video can help shed some light on how to put together the best crew for your indie film. When I was in pre-production for In the Hands of Fate, I didn't officially bring on any crew members until after I already cast all my actors and created the shooting schedule. From my earlier experience doing short films, what I found is that the more people that you have to work around their availability to accommodate a schedule, the more difficult it's going to actually be to find days where everybody can get together. So because of that, my approach was to get all of the actors scheduled first, then reach out to people with those days already in mind in order to bring on the crew. Now there are two scenarios here, okay? First of which is maybe you actually did get enough money raised that you're able to pay everybody. And if so, that's fantastic. But for some of us, we may be working on such a shoestring budget that we don't have enough money to actually pay our crew. And in that case, if we're asking people to volunteer and be part of our movie for free, then we need to be even more flexible and accommodate around their schedules and never take for granted the kindness that they're providing by being part of the set. So with this flexibility in mind, one of the things that you're gonna have to realize early on is that you're probably not gonna just have one director of photography, one production sound mixer, one makeup artist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're probably gonna need to bring on multiple people to fill the same job, but then schedule them on different days. Now, there's pros and cons to this, and I'm sure some of you are already in the comments saying that, well, if you have like 2, 3, 4 directors of photography, how are you gonna have, a shared vision across that? And that's a valid point. And if you're sloppy about your planning, then yeah, it could end up creating a disjointed image. But if you're very thorough in your shot listing, your storyboarding, and you're more willing to work even harder in your planning portion to communicate with the different cinematographers that'll help on different days on set, you can communicate that with them. And then overall, it's still going to be your vision as the director. I mean, you're the director, and because of that, it's your responsibility to communicate what you want your movie to look like to your DP, or in this case, DPs. So what I'll do when I'm scheduling out different people is I have the actors' availability. I've made the shooting schedule around that because, let's face it, the actors are the people who you're actually going to see on screen. That's who you're going to see in the movie. You can't just swap out, Joe Schmo for somebody else and expect that to work out. But with your crew, you might have one sound guy this day, but then he's not available that other day, but that was the only day you could get your actors to show up. So now you have to bring on your other sound guy. And then maybe the next day you bring back the original guy, and then the next day you have to bring out a new guy altogether because the other sound people, they just weren't going to work out for that day. So you need to be really flexible and willing to work with multiple different people, and then that's going to make your job as director even more important in terms of communicating that vision, especially as we talked about with the cinematographer. But the same thing can even be true for a first assistant director. I mean, let's face it, you could have 18 days on your schedule, and maybe the guy that's going to be helping you, that's your first AD, is available for maybe only half of them. Well, you might need to bring somebody else out. And then there might be that one day that you can't get anybody to fill that job. And then you as the director have to double dip and essentially be your own first AD. It's not the most professional setup in terms of a proper movie set. And a lot of people, a lot of snobby people probably scoff at this advice that I'm giving. And I've heard it before, oh, if you don't have the money to really do it properly, maybe you shouldn't be doing it at all. Well, I mean, if you want to live your life with that mindset, have fun never making a movie in your lifetime, okay? The fact is, you have to be willing to get down in the mud, and you need to be willing to make that grind, okay? So what you'll need to do is on that schedule, you're going to need to work around the different crews' availability and say, look, I can get this guy this day, this guy that day, this guy that day. And you just have to be flexible with it. And then that other part of that flexibility is if you're working with a very minuscule budget, like next to no money, like I said earlier, your crew is going to be very skeletal. You're not going to have that many people on set. You're going to have a very small crew. You might have just your director of photography, your assistant director, sound mixer, a makeup artist, and somebody that can kind of fill a couple different jobs as a production assistant / grip, and maybe even jump in as a script supervisor during takes. I mean, and then you as the director, you're really going to be double dipping. You might need to be your own gaffer. You might need to bring out your camera equipment and set up a second camera and be your own camera operator alongside, your cinematographer for the day. You are probably going to be your own prop master. You're going to be in charge of your own wardrobe. You're going to be in charge of your own set design. It's all going to fall back on you, and it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot to keep track of. But if you really love this and you really love the story that you're telling, then ultimately it's all going to be worth it, even if you're putting yourself through a lot of stress, taking on multiple jobs, wearing all these different hats. The reality of the situation is Hollywood considers $2 million to be a small budget, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but being a poor, broke indie filmmaker from Canton, Ohio, $2 million would feel like, I could make a Marvel movie, okay? So a lot of people are just really out of touch in this industry, but this video's not for those guys. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube. If you're looking for, your traditional how to get your crew together for an independent movie. Okay, we're talking like A24, Neon type of independent movies. But if you're looking for that, there's Studio Binder, okay? There's a lot of great channels like that you can watch. This is for the people that are like me, that, we work a day job, we're doing this on the weekends, and we're trying to make something out of nothing because we have a dream and we'd rather go out and actually try to make something happen than sit around and continue to hope and dream and chase this budget that's never going to come. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for you here today. I hope that this helps you out in terms of planning out, building your team, planning out how to schedule your crew, and then planning out how to work with them and communicate, and realizing that this is going to be a lot of work and a lot of stress, and you need to make sure that you go in with the mindset of being as thorough and detailed in your planning as possible. But I hope that helps. If you like this content, please, please, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel, that you drop a like, that you turn the bell on for notifications. And for all you other indie filmmakers out there, I'd love to hear some tips and tricks from you, some advice from you guys down in the comments. So if you have any advice on what you've done in the past in order to help build out your crews for your projects, please go in the comments and, share your story. Anyway, guys, until next time, as always, that's a wrap.